United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Lord, again for the opportunity to lead and to serve the city. We ask for your help and guidance to make it an even better place to grow and to live. I also ask for your mercy on those that are walking hard and painful roads right now, those that are struggling, and for some that have recently suffered personal loss. Especially ask that for those friends that sit on the council. May they know and come to know even greater than they ever have your comfort and the love that you have for them. I just pray it all in Jesus' name. Amen.
Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Wilson.
Present.
Councilwoman Weems Davis. Councilman Johnson.
Here.
Councilwoman Sanders.
Here.
Councilman Adams.
Here.
Councilman Harrell.
Here.
Councilman Reed.
Here. First, we have the minutes of the June 16th, 2025 minutes. Is
Make a
there
motion to approve.
Second. Cut me off there. We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 6-0. Thank you. Next, we have the old business. Is there any old business to come before the council? Hearing none, we'll move to new business. First in new business, we have first reading of ordinance number 25-3040, mausoleum annexation.
Be it ordained by the Common Council of the City Shelbyville, Indiana as follows, to wit, Section 1, that the following tracts of real estate in the County of Shelby, State of Indiana, more particularly described in Exhibit A and generally depicted in Exhibit B, attached hereto and incorporated herein, be and hereby annexed to the City of Shelbyville, Indiana.
Motion to approve.
Second. We have a motion and second to approve. Mr. Rude.
Adam Reed, Planning Director. This is a super voluntary annexation petition. I'm going to talk through high level kind of the process, and then the petitioner's here this evening if you have any further questions. So tonight, we're just introducing the ordinance so that it can be kicked to Plan Commission for a recommendation on the zoning. And then next month will be the actual public hearing, and then eventual final adoption of that by the end of next month. So tonight, we're just going to forward it on to Plan, or when we pass it, it'll forward it on to Plan Commission for their public hearing.
The usual process that we've done, for many years. I mean, this is just the first reading, so it doesn't get much attention. It goes to the Plan Commission tears it apart and figures it out, and then it comes back to us, we hope, with a good recommendation, and we can approve it.
Hopefully they don't tear it apart.
No, it's pretty simple annexation, I think, so.
Yes.
Is it anticipated to be zoned what?
IG General Industrial, which aligns with all the rest of the zoning out there and the comprehensive plan. So just an extension of Northridge Industrial Park, essentially.
Any discussion? Anyone in the public wish to speak?
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. My name is Kyle Resiteritz with Denton's, 10 West Market Street, representing the petitioner. Thank you to Adam and others as they've shepherded us through the process here. Just wanted to be available to answer any questions here this evening. As Adam mentioned, we'll be well prepared for the Plan Commission hearing later this month, and two instances back before the council, hopefully in August. Just so that you know that this matter, the development matter is on the BZA agenda for tomorrow night with respect to two minor development ordinances, and then also on the Plan Commission agenda in connection with this annexation petition for the development plan for the petition. Just included in our petition, I just wanted to outline, it's the intent of this petition is to allow for the construction and development of a over 200,000 square foot in the aggregate warehouse industrial facility for cold storage. It's a build to suit project by the petitioner, already has a user in tow here, and look for it to be a really positive development for a new user and a new constituent here to Shelby County and Shelbyville. Investment for construction purposes well in excess of $50 million. So it's a 4-parcel project. 1 parcel already sits within Shelbyville, so the annexation petition is just for the 3 additional parcels. Of course, happy to answer any questions tonight, but look forward to a more in-depth conversation at the appropriate time.
Thank you. Any
Thank you.
questions for petitioner?
Not at this time.
Anyone in the public wish to speak? Hearing none? You coming up?
Hello, my name is Nathan Willis. I asked to be put on the agenda for today, I think last city council meeting, but I think there's.
I'm sorry, are you speaking to this petition that's up in front of us?
Oh, no.
Or do you
no.
have something else?
Oh, I thought you meant for the public.
No, for the public to speak on this.
Oh, no.
All right, sorry. Okay, we'll get to you in a minute then. Sorry. Okay. All right. Anyone else in the public wish to speak to this petition? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 6-0. Thank you. Is there any further new business? Not, we'll move to miscellaneous business, which is the consideration of the Purdue Equine Center for Feasibility Study. This is basically discussion, sorry, come on up and we'll, discussion, the Purdue Equine Center has been here for
8 years.
8 years, just 8? Is it?
It opened in 17.
No, this is something that the city and county funded the land for years ago. And I think it's been a profitable and a good situation for the city. So, and go ahead, sir. State your name, if you don't mind, for the record.
Well, good evening and thank you, council members. I'm Brett Marsh. I'm your Dean of the College of Veterinary Medicine at Purdue University. We share a responsibility for the Equine Specialty Center on Bassett Road. So I appreciate your time here this evening to consider a proposal to take a look at a marketing analysis for the facility as we move forward. As I mentioned, it opened in 2017. It's been a successful venture between the two of us and in this community. We're excited to have it here and have Purdue University in Southeast Indiana. After 8 years, I think it's appropriate that we pause for a moment and take a look at what opportunities might exist in the future. There's already been a master plan developed for the site, and the cornerstone of that site is the Equine Hospital. It only provides surgery services at this point, but we're being asked, and therefore I think it's an evaluation of what additional services may be necessary over time. So the proposal is, and I have a handout if you'd like to see it, Hanover Research, not related to Hanover College. It's a different entity, but take a look at this over the next 6 months with your approval and support of the financial portion of that to determine what that market analysis looks like by interviewing those locally, regionally, equine practitioners, customers at the hospital, et cetera, so that we can have an even better future. Happy to take any questions.
I will say your master plan's pretty impressive.
It is indeed.
If only we had about $20 billion, we can make it work, right?
Yeah, that'd be for another day.
Yeah. Any questions?
You're just asking for partial financing for the feasibility study at this point, is that correct?
That's correct. No obligation to do anything further. The amount is $55,500.
And who else is being approached to provide capital for that besides the city?
I'm honestly visiting with the county council next Tuesday, a week from tomorrow, in hopes that they'll share in this opportunity.
So the total ask 27,750, then is that?
27,500.
So are we gonna
27,000.
be given a proposal or anything to look at, or?
Happy to have it. I have a copy of it here.
Okay, because we don't have any information on it.
Very good. I have it right here. Have to go through it with you. I have one. Basically, the first page is the executive summary. Purdue University has used the Hanover Research Services for a number of colleges on the campus, College of Agriculture, College of Engineering. You can see at the bottom of page 2, the opportunities to take a look at how to increase revenue at the hospital and also expand its brand awareness. We've talked about everything from marketing opportunities, signage, et cetera. You can see on page 3, it actually breaks out the marketing analysis and what the description would be, the outcomes anticipated, in-depth interviews with the equine community, including veterinarians, those locally at the track, et cetera. And over that period of time, began to gather what additional information is necessary to see what new opportunities might exist for the hospital. As I mentioned, we have a surgeon there at the site now. We're being asked to provide primary care, internal medicine, et cetera. And this opportunity would give us a chance to visit with the local community and the region to see what's the appropriate next steps. As you can see at the bottom of page 3, it talks about a marketing position analysis. This will all be accomplished by the Hanover Research Group to take a look at, again, what those opportunities are for this facility moving forward. Page 4 provides a timeline. You can see over the next several months, the market analysis is about 6 weeks, 10 to 12 weeks for those in-depth interviews in the equine community, and then about 6 weeks to develop the market position analysis. What's nice about this particular proposal is you can see that light green bar. After we do those several weeks of analysis in this proposal, it provides for 6 more months under Hanover Research's proposal to expand it even further for what this council and others would like to see. There may be some things that are identified in the first 6 months that might be advantageous for us to drill down a little more. That's part of the package. Page 5 talks about the individual contact. COLA is our individual that we've been working with Hanover Research to develop this plan for your consideration. The following page on page 6 has a specific 12-month proposal of $55,500. So that's really the package and the request. Purdue University as an entity, and I'm responsible for the hospital to operate it. So we're committed on an annual basis between $1.6 and $1.7 million in operation costs at the facility for the surgeon that we have there and the support staff on the grounds. So again, this proposal will take a look at what the opportunities are moving forward in the future. And with your support, the county's support, we hope that we can identify those specific things that would be particularly advantageous for this site.
And I truly believe, you know, with the split of IUPUI and Purdue having a more active role in downtown Indianapolis, it gives, I think, the Equine Center a better opportunity to grow and become, you know, more of what we want it to be, you know, or what Purdue wants it to be, obviously, but it gives the opportunity for more classes to be held there or more, you know, on-hand learning and the veterinary school to expand in that way, I hope.
I think there's enormous opportunities. You're correct. Purdue Indianapolis is continuing to expand. Our College of Veterinary Medicine is looking at opportunities at the Indianapolis campus. And just south of the Purdue Indianapolis campus is the Elanco campus. Elanco Animal Health is moving into their global headquarters in October of this year. So I think there's opportunities for this facility to be utilized by Elanco and others on that track.
Any questions, discussion?
Do you anticipate building more buildings, or is the facility that's there now sufficient?
It's sufficient for what we're doing today. And I think this study will determine what the future looks like for additional buildings. For example, if we want to add clinical laboratory space, if we want to actually do hauling services, that is going to the field, we don't provide a field service now. So all the horses come to us. And so at the West Lafayette campus, we have field service for equine, bovine, and swine. So we actually leave the campus to go to sites. That's not done at Shelbyville, so maybe that's an opportunity as well. So I think that this study will tell us what those next steps might be on the hospital footprint and how it contributes to the overall master plan.
So do you think the facility's been pretty successful to date?
I think so. As a matter of fact, I was at the Indiana Derby on Saturday, and we had a suite during the Derby and met with a number of clients at the hospital, and they're very happy. As a matter of fact, I talked to one client, and they're actually bypassing some of the lead practices in Kentucky to come to the Shelbyville site.
So if it's being really successful, what kind of revenue are you guys bringing in? Quite a bit?
I'm sorry?
Your revenue that you're bringing in for that facility, is it pretty substantial then, since you're so
At this point,
successful?
I think that's where we need the study as well to make it even more viable economically moving forward. There really hasn't been a marketing plan around the site. And I think even some of the members that I've met with before weren't sure really what was going on that site. You can see it from the interstate, but we talked about signage, we talked about marketing opportunities and how to expand the services there. So I think it could even be more robust, and particularly after this study, determining what that marketplace really looks like and what advantages we could capture.
So the ask is $27,750. 27,750, is that correct?
Yes.
Plus, yeah, 750, yeah. Okay. So I guess I'd entertain a motion to approve the $27,750 for the Purdue Equine feasibility study.
Second.
We have a motion and second. Is there any further discussion?
Have to clarify the motion for the document. My suggestion would be racing.
Okay.
I've got a racing at 445, and other services, 207,
Would you like to give the, motion, would you like to amend the motion to include the Racino?
Motion to include that it would be paid for out of the Racino fund.
Is there, you amend this, you seconded, right?
And I second.
Second to
his-
the amended, okay, all right. So we have a motion and second to the amended recommendation. Is there any further discussion? Anyone in the public wish to speak? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-1. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Barrett.
All right. Further miscellaneous. Jenny, thank you.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council, Jenny Nelson, City Attorney. There was a public notice that went in the paper today advertising food and beverage public hearing for tonight. That was my inadvertent mistake. We are actually going to do the food and beverage public hearing on June 21st meeting, and that will be the only item on your agenda that night. Any questions, concerns? Thank you, and I apologize to anyone from the public who showed up tonight who is not going to have the opportunity to talk on that. Please join us on the 21st.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Willis, I believe now would be. Sorry about that earlier.
No, it's okay, it's my fault, sorry. I tried to join the Zoom meeting.
I'm sorry?
To be able to share the presentation. I think you have to click accept.
You'll have to speak up a little bit.
Sorry. Oh. Okay, so I tried to be placed on the agenda.
I'm sorry, state your name again for the record. I
Yeah,
apologize.
Nathan Willis. I tried to be placed on the agenda twice for the last two previous meetings. I think that you weren't at the previous one. And then this one, I tried to be placed on the agenda. I wasn't on the agenda. I even sent an email requesting it. I don't know if it would behoove you to show you the email, if that helps.
I mean, if you want on the council agenda, I think you'd ask the council to be put on the agenda.
I did.
So you emailed the council and then they didn't reply, or you just didn't?
I got a reply, yes.
Okay.
But I was just told, yeah, the plan is.
Must
that
be a
I'd on the
communication
agenda.
area then, because if they would want you on the agenda, then they would, notify Mr. Asher, and Mr. Asher would put you on the agenda.
Okay, well, then I guess I'll just say this part. If available, can I please be placed on the next agenda? I put together a neighborhood improvement plan that I've been working on since I started on my original term on the council. I thought that'd be of good benefit to all of you and also to the city. I'm sorry that I am unable to present it today.
So you want to be on our next meeting's agenda, and you'll have a handout or something you want to give to everybody?
I actually have a presentation on my laptop. If just click the blue Zoom button and then I could share it.
Is that possible to put it on the screens? I mean, not for this meeting, but for our next meeting, is that correct?
Either one, yeah. I already have it ready and up and loaded and ready to go if that's the case.
It's all up to you guys. It's your meeting. No?
I'm okay with it.
Okay, yeah, move forward. Let's, yeah.
Okay.
I don't think we can get it on the, tonight, so it needs to be downloaded beforehand. Yeah,
Adam will just-
he would need to plug this laptop in up here, so.
Sorry to delay the meeting. So, here we go.
Something's coming in. All right, there we go.
There, all right, so let me give a brief overview of what I put together. When I was originally on the council, I felt like there were so many things, so much information all coming at one time. I felt like it's almost overwhelming to the point of saying, okay, where do we focus? What can we do with this? And what part can I actually play? So many, many years ago, I went and gathered a whole bunch of data and just kept seeing how I could organize it, how I could actually look at it, and how I could address some of the problems that I noticed. So this is finally, as a result of many years of work, my son, I started this when he was just 1 year old, and he's now 6 years old. So just to give you a rough idea of the length of time that it's taken me to put this together. So thank you for having me here today. So we all know that social media is just social media. And I know that many of you see the comments, hear the complaints. I was also in the same spot. I know what it was like. Again, at one point in time, it doesn't make the job easy. At one point, someone called my wife fat when she was 5 months pregnant. What does that have to do with the neighborhoods? Well, it goes to show that on social media, you will constantly hear there's so much crime in our neighborhood that things are getting so much worse and no one's doing anything to fix it, right? I know you guys all hear it as well. Here's some of the things that I've heard over the years. Here's some of the things that I'm sure, you guys have heard. And God forbid I say Morrison Park on here, I'm sorry. But I did mention the last Morrison Park meeting that I did send an email around September to you all that I didn't hear a reply back. I included this in the presentation to show that I wasn't just making things up, that I did say it. Now, what got me started? I wanted to know the issues impacting my ward and how I could actually solve some of it, if I could. And then why are we spending money in this area versus another area? And then can we form a consistent plan for those expenditures across future administrations and councils? So the best way to look at this presentation is to say, if you had 8 hours to solve a problem, right? I'd spend the first 7 hours defining the problem. And when I was gathering that data, it was pouring in, and I tried to put it on a map, and you can see that it just looks discombobulated. It looks like so much that you don't know what to do with it. Same thing with heat maps. We tried heat maps, same issue. But then I started to look into the GIS system, and then I started to notice that there are a lot of properties that hadn't changed assessments in many, many years. Now, these flagged properties are the ones that you had 40 of them that didn't change assessment for 8 years in a row. You had 49 that didn't change assessments for 49 years in a row. 58 for 6, 22 for 5, and so on. Now, I started to question that and wonder why. What's going on? I hear my neighbors complaining that their assessments are going up. They don't understand why. Well, a big part of that is because we don't have the sales or the comps in some of these neighborhoods. And some of them weren't having any churn or turnover for them to actually get a good assessment. So we are losing revenue from the city standpoint. It led me down a further path to realize that there's neighborhood codes. At the assessor's office, and thanks to Ann, sorry, she described a lot of this. She said that there's neighborhood codes and they act almost as buckets. That each home goes into these buckets. And that's how you start to get your comps. And how you start to get your assessed evaluations. And in turn, how all the taxing districts get their revenues. Here's a map of some of the neighborhood codes that you see throughout the city. I know that I'm going to reference neighborhood codes many times throughout this, but just to put it a little bit into context, this is how I'm segmenting them and breaking them up, just like the assessor's office did. Now, before I continue to make sure that I can finish, the big part and the biggest component out of all this that I got was actually even segmenting the industrial neighborhoods and the commercial neighborhoods. Now, you have the industrial north and you have industrial south, which is your industrial parks. So industrial north, you have your Ryobi and Triumph and things like that. Industrial south, I'll show you in a second. And then your downtown commercial encompasses most of your downtown buildings. Industrial south. Now, I know it leaps and makes a jump, but that was one of the components in many parts of this that I realized. I also got a big chunk of crime information. We don't really know in terms of like the details of our crime trends in the city. We don't know what's going on in terms of like how to solve it. We're giving money to nonprofits. Are they being effective? What other steps can we make to improve those? So then I went one step further and said, okay, fine. Let's look at this crime information and see, is it costing us a lot of money by having recurring calls in certain locations? Yeah, it is. So I took some of the top 5. You can see on average per year how much it's costing us just in terms of the recurring calls on some of the same individual locations, right? So it's on average $105,000 a year just on these 5 properties alone, just in police time. So keep that in mind as we move on as well. Now, housing information is another chunk of it, right? We don't know what we don't know. We don't really know how many homes we have very well. We don't know what kind of makeup they have. We don't know how many residential homes we have, things like that. We always hear that, oh, Shelbyville's got a 60 to 80% rental property rate, something insane, social media, right? Well, it's actually not the case. So when I started to dig a little bit further through this, I found out that's not at all true. Here are some of your downtown neighborhood residential areas, right? Just like I said earlier in that map, this will make a little more sense. That each code has its own name as well. It has its own number of rentals, has its own number of duplexes, triplexes, and things like that. And you start to see your makeup, right? It starts to come together. All that discombobulation, we're starting to organize it. Code enforcement, another chunk of it, right? Here are annual violations per year from the data that I did gather. The detailed breakdown of them. Some of the homes and the residents that we're still running into issues with. And then how much it's also costing us on average per year, just based on recurring calls, recurring tickets, and also mowing. This is a low ball, but this was based on the 2018 to 2020 estimates. I'm sure it's gone up since then because inflation, right? So now we get in a little more detail about what I mean based on neighborhood code and individual district, right? So I figured that it'd make it a little bit easier for you to figure out, oh, what ward am I talking about? Does this actually affect me at all as a council member? Yeah. Then I started to look at the sales, because we give abatements, right? Well, are they paying adequately? Can people in town, in the city, afford to buy a home, even in the areas that are some of our oldest areas in town? Are you actually giving the wages needed to sustain the cost of living in town? Here's the code enforcement as well for that same. I broke it down even individually by neighborhood. Here are your crime rates by each individual neighborhood. Your most common crime in each individual neighborhood. I want you guys to keep an eye on that. It is a common recurring one on every single one of these. Here's another one, first and second ward. If I do not have the sales data, it's just I didn't have that data available. So if you see any of that missing in some neighborhoods that you see in others, I just didn't have enough of it to actually get a good determination. For your code enforcements, you're seeing a high repeat rate percentage, right? That's another thing you need to keep an eye on. Again, so how much is it costing us to be able to afford a home in these neighborhoods? Is that what the factories and everything like that are paying? I'm going too fast. Sorry. Let's give you a little more detailed information. Now, as you see, for the home sales, most of them will require about a $50,000 to $60,000 a year salary just to be able to afford to live in those areas right now. Well, I mean, that's based on 2024. Sure, again, it's gone up. Now, for the rest of the downtown, if you take in my board information, you're needing roughly about $78,000 a year just to be able to really afford outside of these older homes. That gives you another little bit of touted info when you sit there and you're going to the abatement committee and you're saying, hey, you guys paying a decent salary, right? Now, the other thing that I want to mention is that you're commonly saying the recurring crimes are theft and also domestic violence. Now, these are just in the downtown neighborhoods because that's where my ward previously, the second ward, was located. So I really wanted to know the details of what was affecting my ward. Now, also the other component of that is to say, all right, if we're seeing these trends, if we're going to give money to nonprofits to help address some of these, are they effective? Are they working? Now, with the domestic violence, how is the youth? What's going on with the youth? Youth assistance program? Are they able to keep up with some of the issues that you're seeing going on in the community, right? But I think it puts into terms of saying like where that money needs to flow and where it needs to go. Now, for the code enforcement, the other interesting factor that I noticed was saying that 11% of the 2018 to 2020 violations went in front of the Board of Works. Only 11%. Now you're still saying a recurring crime percent or a recurring code enforcement percentage. The reason for that is because most of them still get addressed within that time frame that the state makes you have about, what, I think 10 to 15 days, I think, sorry. But they address it right at that point, right before they have to go to code enforcement. And then they wait again, and then it happens again. Wait again, it happens again. And eventually we say, fine, we'll just mow it. Again, that's where it goes in that recurring cost, that $35,000, okay? Now, I will say, one of the big things that we didn't really ever track in terms of what I thought was important, sorry if I'm going too fast, was that we never really tracked your assessed valuation per acre. I wish we would have really hit into that because it really would have benefited you to know where those investment dollars could be most beneficial, right? To say, okay, fine, what areas are struggling the most? If I'm gonna throw this money in this area as a city, explain to me why. Why do I need to throw the money in this area, right? So you're downtown, and that's where it goes back to your original point. Way at the beginning, I'm sorry for making you dizzy. was this point right here. So if you ever get a chance to look on the GIS, I really encourage you to look at it. You're seeing a large industrial plant or a large industrial warehouse, right? This is one of our very first original industrial parks in the city. So what is the condition of it? When I ask you as a council or a mayor and I say, hey, how's our original industrial park built? As you are being told, hey, we should probably build a 5th one, a 6th one, 10th, whatever. Well, how are previous ones performing? How are they doing? We should probably know that information, right? I've given you somewhat of that information right here. And again, to backtrack, I understand that. But this is the key thing that we need to start tracking, is your assessed evaluation per acre and your revenue per acre, right? You can see, even out of all the industrial parks that we have, your downtown core is your most profitable location out of these two, or out of these three, I'm sorry. So you can see that even in some of the newer industrial parks, the downtown, it's king. It's kicking butt. And it's doing okay. It just utilizes a significantly amount of less land, and it's giving you a higher return. Now, your resource component as a city is saying you're limited on your land, right? Eventually, you're going to get to the point where you can't annex. You're eventually going to get to the point where you're going to hit those limitations. Again, if you start to evaluate things as revenue per acre, then you're going to be ahead of the game. Now, how do we start to track all this? What's the easy point? Why is it taking me 6 years roughly to do this? We have one of the most outdated GIS systems in the whole entire state. It's horrendous. It really is. I mean, you can't download anything through it. And it's so discombobulated. None of the communications are happening between the systems. It's horrendous. And because of that, we lose so much information. And to give you an example, one of the other reasons why I started in this is that I was digging through the GIS and I realized that one said empty lot on it when I was digging through the GIS. There has been a home there for the last 60 years. It's not an empty lot, and it's been assessed as an empty lot. It's just because we have such an outdated system, right? The other issue is that there's really not been the greatest communication between the county and the city in terms of saying like, hey, we need to do this is why we need to work together with this, and X, Y, and Z. Also, when the calls happen with police, it's the way that the system uploads them that it's not uniform. So you can't really track the crime information as well because you have to try to make the whole system or all of the calls and everything uniform to be able to apply them into the neighborhood codes, if that's something you're interested in doing.
Stop you for just a second.
Yeah.
We do realize that the GIS system is bad.
Yeah, but
And
it's
we
kind of.
are, and we are working on trying to get that fixed with the county and change vendors, but that's a very hard thing, but it's
Oh, yeah.
ongoing talks.
Yeah, it's music to my ears, really.
Right.
I wish I would have known that. But, so, again, I know this is very lengthy, and I know that I kind of rushed through a lot of it and bounced, but if any of you guys are interested in it, to know any more of those details behind it, I mean, please, I'll happily sit down and share it with you. I tried to sit down a little bit more individually because I feel like it would have made a little bit more sense, but that's really all I have to present to you. Do you guys have any questions?
Questions for Mr. Willis?
Ethan, can you share this presentation with us?
Absolutely, yeah.
That'd be
Yeah.
great.
Please just let me know if you get it. And,
Thank you.
Appreciate your time. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Tell some passion.
I was in a way happy to be done with it, to be honest.
Well, thank you.
Any further miscellaneous reports from committees, boards, and commissions? I know the tax abatement committee met to look at the SB ones, but didn't come up with a determination on all those. Is that correct? Did you guys look at all the?
Yeah, Danny, do we have a report for follow up on all the SB ones? We had a 14 that we looked at. And one of, or two of them, we had to hold over with asking for a little more information.
And as far as I know, yeah, there were two, and I don't think we've received that information yet. So it hasn't been filtered down to any of us on the committee. But other than that, certainly the majority of them were approved, and things seem to be in order. And if we get that information, we could then recommend to the council that they all be approved. So that's the only holdup at this point.
If you need help, let me or Mr. Asher know. We can, not this and Mr. Asher, that Mr. Asher,
Okay.
Brian Asher. We can help maybe get that moving a little bit for you. Okay, any other committees, boards, or commissions, reports? Comments or requests from citizens? Motion to adjourn.